Hello, my name is Danny Bristow, and I'm a staff member at ShelterBox Canada. I just wanted to begin by saying thank you for tuning in to our ShelterBox presentation. Let's get started. How many people do you think lost their homes due to natural disaster or conflict last year? Take a moment to think about it. In 2018, over 88 million people were forced from their homes by natural disaster and conflict. This is more than the population of Canada. Recovery starts with shelter. Having somewhere dry and warm to sleep, to prepare meals, and be with your family is vital for starting the long process of recovery. Shelter is more than just walls and a roof, it's a home. On average, only 1 in 5 families received the emergency shelter that they needed following a disaster. This is more than any other time in human history. Think about how many people are in your Rotary Club. Only 1 in 5 of your families would receive the emergency shelter they needed. Not all disasters make the news, but all of them devastate people's lives. ShelterBox is an international disaster relief charity that hand-delivers emergency shelter and the tools families need to self-recover after natural disaster and conflict around the world. We have a commitment not just to those affected by disaster and conflict, but to everyone who supports us and works with us to bring about real change. 2020 is a landmark year for ShelterBox. It marks 20 years of ShelterBox working in disaster relief. As an organization, we are impatient to see a world where no family is left without shelter after disaster. Take a quick moment to think about what does shelter mean to you. We know that shelter is more than just a roof, it's a home. It's the foundation for life, for families, and for communities. When natural disasters and conflict force people from their homes, we can't replace what a family has lost, but we can help to rebuild. We provide people with the tools to start the process of their own recovery. Let's take a look at the story of ShelterBox. In the year 2000, the idea for ShelterBox was thought up by the Rotary Club of Helston-Lizard in Cornwall in the United Kingdom. This happened when Rotary encouraged members to come up with projects to mark the millennium. The Helston-Lizard Club was an established group of around 40 people who had been involved in a variety of charitable activities, both at home and abroad. The idea was sparked by watching the news and wanting to do more after seeing that people seemed to be left with nothing after disaster. ShelterBox was launched by the club that same year. The initial hope was to help 8 to 10 families a year, with a box containing a family-sized tent, sleeping bags, water purifying tablets, trenching tools, and pots and pans. In the first year, this group of passionate volunteers took the idea and developed it into something more. They investigated the emergency items people needed and worked to understand transport and logistics. They spoke to manufacturers and found a sturdy box. They visited the Rotary International Conference to drum up support and float the idea more widely. In the first year, Rotary clubs alone donated $150,000. The faith shown by the Rotary community led to the first ever response supporting families affected by the 2001 earthquake in Gujarat, India. As ShelterBox grew, so did Rotary support. In 2012, ShelterBox became recognized as Rotary International's official project partner in disaster relief. Rotarians and Rotary groups all over the world help ShelterBox in a variety of ways. Rotarians are able to give us first-hand knowledge of many of the countries in which we respond and vital links into communities. This means we're able to respond faster and further. Around 1,000 Rotary members are involved in ShelterBox as volunteers, staff, or response team members. Clubs worldwide offer valuable, practical assistance to help ShelterBox reach more families. Rotary also provides us with immense support here in Canada. by tirelessly raising funds and awareness to help more families after disaster. Rotary also provides us with immense support here in Canada by tirelessly raising funds and awareness to help more families after disaster. ShelterBox has fundraising teams in 15 countries around the world. All of these teams were founded by Rotary members. Rotary remains at the heart of ShelterBox. Let's take a look at the partnership in action.
The Philippines gets affected by disasters every year. From typhoons to earthquakes, there's so many families that need our support. At ShelterBox, we're so proud to be Rotary International's project partner, further strengthening a global circle of friendship. As people of action, Rotarians make a difference for families who have lost everything in so many ways. Through raising awareness and funds at home to providing a valuable point of contact for response teams through firsthand knowledge, introductions, logistical assistance, and vital links into communities. The partnership connects Rotarians in their own community directly with disaster-affected communities around the world. We're growing, changing, and innovating to meet the needs of the increasing number of people devastated by disaster and conflict every year. One of our strongest innovations to date was to create ShelterBox Operations Philippines. This in-country agency is based on all of the principles of ShelterBox and allows us to respond quickly and effectively. ShelterBox and Rotary have worked together in all of our previous responses in the Philippines. Collaborating with Rotary to create ShelterBox Operations Philippines was a natural next step and has allowed us to be in a better position to respond to the next disaster.
We recently responded to Tropical Storm Erduha, or Kai-Tak as it was internationally known, which was centered around Biliran Island, which is in Biliran province, which is in the sort of central Visayas in the Philippines. So Rotary has been key to the entire process of the creation of ShelterBox Operations Philippines. So even before the real inception of the agency, we were working with Rotarians throughout the country. They provide us with context about the situation and about how people deal with different disasters and scenarios in each of their areas. They give us a really very local context.
Immediately following Tropical Storm Kai-Tak, our pre-existing network of Rotarians put us in contact with the local government, the Rotary Club of Biliran Island, and local Rotaractors. We worked together in partnership throughout each phase of the response, from assessing the need to ensuring each family receives shelter and other life-saving tools. ShelterBox Operations Philippines is such an inspiring example of the difference that ShelterBox and Rotary can make when we work together and the partnership in action. Together, we are transforming despair into hope.
As you can see, with the help of Rotary, we're able to help more families. Today, ShelterBox has grown to become a respected humanitarian organization providing emergency shelter, essential items, and support to over 1.5 million people in 97 countries. Everything we do is guided by the same goal: helping families rebuild after disaster. To make sure we do that as effectively as possible, we constantly question what we do. We explore what we could do differently. We ask ourselves how we could be better. We put innovation at the heart of our work, always searching for ways to improve. It's why we no longer provide aid only in boxes after families told us they sometimes need larger emergency items that don't fit in our shelter boxes. It's why we changed the blankets we send to disaster zones after families told us the original ones weren't warm enough on the coldest nights. It's why we've recently started using more durable tents after families said they needed somewhere more secure to feel settled and ready to face the future. It's why we worked with the company that makes our solar-powered lights after families told us the batteries used to run out too quickly. Luminade solar lights have evolved to meet the needs of families recovering after disaster. From lights that used to last only 14 to 16 hours on a charge to lights that can now last 44 to 50 hours. The Luminade is a powerful item for families to stay safe and recover. The lights transitioned from pillow to cube shape, as the cube is easier to place on a tabletop. Adding adjustable handles makes it easier to hang the lantern in a ShelterBox tent or to hang on your clothing to bring the light with you. The newest 2-in-1 model also doubles as a portable solar phone charger. Phones are often an important survival tool and allows families to stay connected. By listening to people in every disaster where we work, we make sure people are in the best possible position to start strong as they piece their lives back together. Water, just like shelter, is a human right. When disasters devastate whole communities and force families far from home, it can be hard to ensure access to clean water. The water purification systems we have used have changed over time, from first providing water purification tablets to now using water filters. The filters can remove viruses, bacteria, and pathogens that can be found within contaminated water, as well as chemicals, heavy metals, and fecal matter. A water filter can turn up to 1,000 liters of unsafe water into clean drinking water. That's enough clean water for a family of 4 for a month. We have used several variations of water filters over the past 20 years. What led us to start using our current water filter is that it has a failsafe that will stop dispensing water when it is no longer filtering at 100%. Once ShelterBox teams leave, we know that our aid will guarantee that families have safe, clean water. I want to introduce you to Marimu and her children. 33-year-old Marimu lives in a refugee camp with her 7 children. Her husband left without any explanation just after they were settled in the family shelter. Originally from Nigeria, Marimu had to leave her village after it was attacked. Marimu explained, "It is an experience that I would not wish on anybody. It was like a horror film, which makes me cry every time I think about it. One day you have everything, the next you lose everything within a few minutes." Like many refugees, the most difficult situation that Marimu faces daily is that of access to water. She explained, "The most difficult thing to have is water. We must get up very early and go a very long way. It can take a whole day to get only 30 liters of water." We started to get sick. After a while, I noticed that my children and I were having frequent stomach aches and diarrhea. I realized it was caused by the water. Marimu and her family received a ShelterBox water filter. After receiving the filter, Marimu cannot contain her joy at the impact it has had on her family. Thanks to the filter, I can assure you that our problems concerning water are no longer related to sickness, but to distance, because we still have to travel a long way to collect it. Today, we drink water without fear. Even though the distance is the same, and with all the difficulties that we have when fetching water, we are now spared from sickness. I use the filter without difficulty as it's very simple to use. The only thing we can say is thank you very much to ShelterBox. Recovery starts with shelter. Shelter means a place to feel safe, often after days or weeks of fear. It means having somewhere to call home again, where you can find shade from the midday sun and warmth when winter comes. It means having somewhere to be with friends and family and to have time to yourself. It's a place to cook, to play, to study, to laugh. It's a place to start again. Today, in 2020, the need for emergency shelter is more urgent than ever, with 88 million people living without shelter after disaster. We must do more, and thanks to the support of people like you, we are as determined as our founding Helston Lazard Rotary members to do just that. Your club can join clubs all across Canada to take action and support families recovering after disaster. The partnership between ShelterBox and Rotary is so much more than a single green box or a tarp. It's about uniting together to take action and create lasting change in the lives of families after disaster or in times of conflict. We have been able to support 1.5 million people over the past 20 years due to the continued support of Rotary clubs and Rotarians here in Canada. ShelterBox Heroes are Rotary clubs like yours that have identified this continuing need to prepare for disasters and respond at a moment's notice. ShelterBox Hero Awards are given out based on your club's annual support of ShelterBox Canada through donations or funds raised. There are 3 ShelterBox Hero levels: Bronze, $1,200, Silver, $3,600, and Gold, $6,000 plus. As we celebrate 20 years of disaster relief and effective partnership, we ask that you join more than 150 clubs across Canada as a ShelterBox Canada hero this year. As an individual, you can also make a difference in the lives of families recovering after disaster by becoming a pillar of recovery today. Disasters are unpredictable and can happen at any time. By becoming a monthly donor, you allow ShelterBox response teams to act faster when the unthinkable happens. Because of you, families will receive aid faster. Because of you, families can begin to recover sooner. And because of you, we can see a world when no one is left without shelter after disaster. For $20 or more a month, you can be a pillar of recovery and change lives around the world. Help us continue the determination of our founding Helston Lazard Rotary members. Become a monthly donor, and you'll be reliably providing families with the essential supports they need to rebuild and recover. When you sign up today to become a pillar of recovery, you will then receive an exclusive welcome pin. Be a pillar of recovery today. Give emergency shelter. Wear the pin with pride. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this presentation about ShelterBox Canada and the work we do around the world. We are so grateful for your support as Rotary's international project partner in disaster relief. If you have any questions about this presentation, please feel free to visit our website, or you can contact our office by email or phone with the details shown on the screen. Once again, thank you for making a difference in the lives of families around the world recovering after disaster.